This video is an explanation of the carbon cycle. The carbon cycle is overall the process of carbon going up into the atmosphere and moving down, and in being in living organisms and the soil and the water down here and the rocks, and then being released back up into the atmosphere and on and on. It is extremely important because living things are primarily made of carbon, and because at this point in the Earth's existence, the prevalence of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is a very, very important issue. So I'm going to go through the steps of it. This diagram might look a little confusing, but if we take it apart bit by bit, I think we'll be fine. So the carbon cycle consists of carbon sinks and carbon sources. Carbon sinks are ways in which processes that absorb carbon dioxide and store it in places, remove it from the atmosphere. Carbon sources release carbon into the atmosphere in the form of carbon dioxide and methane. So the two big carbon sources in our world today are combustion and cellular respiration. And if you look at the equations for them, they're actually remarkably similar. They're fundamentally the same thing. In both cases, we are burning an organic substance, and we're creating carbon dioxide, water, and releasing energy, which is the reason we do it. Combustion is burning. This is what we do with fuels, coal, gas, all of this. Cellular respiration, combustion is designated on the diagram here as these factories and trucks and things releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Cellular respiration is carried out by animals and also plants. All living things do carry out cellular respiration this is glucose, they're burning glucose and producing carbon dioxide and water and energy. And you see that on the diagram here, the people. You hopefully learned when you were young that, what I learned was that plants breathe in carbon dioxide and release oxygen, and animals breathe in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. So cellular respiration is that breathing in oxygen and breathing out carbon dioxide, though of course the reality is a little more complicated than that, but that's what it comes down to. Next, we have photosynthesis, which is the major carbon sink of our world, and it's designated as part C here, which you see in two spots. This is just some trees carrying out photosynthesis, and you see here that they are taking in carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. And it also happens in the ocean because the ocean has lots of phytoplankton. You don't need to know that word, but it's just microscopic green plants that live in the ocean and are doing this here too. So between the plants on the land and the plants in the water, there's a lot of photosynthesis on our planet, and it is all absorbing carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. Those are the three big ones. Some others that are also important but not quite as big are the formation of seashells by marine organisms, which is depicted on the diagram as D, which is right here. Some of the carbon dioxide that is absorbed into the ocean is actually taken into the bodies of marine organisms to make calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is the stuff that they make their shells out of. So you see that this is another carbon sink. And it is keeping that carbon dioxide in the form of seashells. We also have decomposition, which is depicted right here. When organisms decompose and rot, that carbon dioxide is released back out into the organism, and that is a carbon source. And finally, we have methane production, which as livestock just produces a lot of methane as a waste gas, and some of it comes out, the bottom ends of their body, but a lot of it actually comes out the top ends of their body. But regardless, livestock and also agriculture actually release a lot of methane, which is another carbon source into the air. So these are the main sources and sinks of carbon. One final point is, with these top three that I did the first time, there is also an energy aspect to it, that combustion and cellular respiration release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and also release energy. You can see it right here. So they are highly exothermic. That means releasing energy. By contrast, photosynthesis does not happen unless there is sunlight, and that is absorbing energy. And so just as photosynthesis absorbs carbon dioxide, it also absorbs energy in the form of sunlight, and therefore is endothermic. And I will add those to these notes, those terms. That is basically what we would like you to know about the carbon cycle.